So we're going to be opening up 2 King of Artists figures, starting with the King of Artists Monkey D. Luffy Gear 5-3. And when it comes to the King of Artists line, they've always been really consistent with their box art. Like, for as long as I've been collecting figures, I can't recall the time that they've deviated from this type of box art, so I like that consistency. And this one released in December 2025. I'm recording this on January 1st, 2026, and I didn't expect to be able to get these figures this early. But I happened to find a good price on the Japan releases of them, so I decided to just buy them right now instead of waiting for them to release in the US. Now here's Luffy inside of the inner packaging. There's this cardboard flap that folds right over the hat, which is poking out, and so is the sash just a little bit. Then after cutting that piece of tape, Luffy's going to fold out just like this. And here's the bag all spread out. We have 2 pieces for the stand, 2 legs, and Luffy's main body. Let's get it all out of the bag now. So here's the base. We can see where the stand is going to hook into the base, and then if we turn the base around, we can see the little number 2775303. And here's the little support that Luffy's going to sit on top of. This part right here is going to hook down into the base, and then the other side is going to hook into Luffy's back. And here are both of the legs. I think they look nicely done. I like how you can see the foot separated from the sandal, and then the bottom of the sandals look nicely sculpted too. And now for Luffy himself. So let's take a look at Luffy. I think the face looks great here. Like, they really nailed the face on this one. It looks really great. And the legs are going to hook right here into these holes. But before we do that, let's take a closer look at Luffy. So he's got some lines etched into his shorts here, and I think those look nice. Let's take a look at the back of the shorts now. We can see a little bit more of those lines kind of going throughout all of the shorts. And then we have his giant hat here, which doesn't have really any shading to it, but I think it still looks nice as it is. There have been other figures that don't have the hat painted that I don't think look that great, but for some reason this one looks good. I think it's due to all the detail they sculpted into it. Like, you can see a lot of detail throughout all of the hat, so even though it's a flat color, it still stands out and looks pretty nice. And now to put the legs on. So the shape of the pegs on the legs match up with the shape of the holes on the shorts, which are both different, so you can't really mix up the legs. And the right leg on my Luffy took a lot of force to push into there, so if you're having trouble getting either leg into your Luffy, you could just warm up the holes on the shorts and then they'll go into there a lot more easily. Alright, we have Luffy complete now, and I think he looks great. He's actually bigger than I thought he would be, which was a nice surprise. I thought he would be a little bit smaller for some reason, but yeah, he's pretty decently sized. And before we get him onto the stand, let's take a look at some more of his details. So up here on the smoke steam ring, whatever that's called, around his shoulders and head, we can see more of those lines etched into there. And also on the legs too. I noticed that's kind of a King of Artists thing. I'm not sure if it's a specific sculptor that does it or just like the way that they like to do King of Artists. But yeah, most King of Artists figures I have, they have that same kind of look where there's a lot of detailing done with the little lines etched into all the clothing and the body also, which I think looks great on this Luffy. And I like the scar on his chest too, and also the way they sculpted the fingers and how they outlined each of the fingernails. The whole sculpt on this thing is really nicely done. You can even see some detail on the roof of his mouth in there, and then I love how his arms are like all stretchy looking, like there's no elbow there. You can see it's just like a curve. And then on the other one, we can see some skin wrinkling up, and also around the elbow, some more skin wrinkling up there. So I really like how they do that. And same thing with the legs. You can see they're kind of like rubbery looking. There's no real knee there on the legs. They're just kind of one big curve, which really fits the look of Gear 5. So I love when they sculpt the Gear 5 figures like this. And looking at the back of the figure again, there is a seam on the back of his left arm, but once he's on the stand, you're not really going to see that, especially if you're looking at him from the intended angle. But I just wanted to point out that it is there for anyone that might care. And then down here by the hole, we can see the marking. So that's where the marking is on this figure right here on the back. And now let's put the stand on. So that just hooks in like that. And then we're going to stick it into Luffy's back. And you do have to kind of go down at an angle. Like if you try to just stick it straight in, it's not really going to go in. So you kind of got to go up at an angle like this. And it's touching the hat, and then just push it in right there, and it'll go in nice and easy. So here's what Luffy looks like on the stand. He's really leaning back. It's kind of a unique angle. I think a figure like this is best viewed like looking kind of down at him, but you could also look at him from the side, and I think he looks good at like eye level like that also. But yeah, at least to me, I think he looks best looking a little bit down at him. I think that's kind of how he's intended to be. And this is taken from the moment in Egghead, so that's why he's not wearing the shirt. This is the Egghead Gear 5 Luffy, and yeah, it's taken from the moment of him and Bonnie together, and we're going to be opening up that Bonnie next. But yeah, as for this Luffy, I think it's really great. I'm really happy with it. I'd have to say it's one of my favorite Gear 5 figures yet. And now it's time to open up this Bonnie. So this one's called King of Artists Jewelry Bonnie, the Most Free Future. It released in December just like the Luffy, and it's also the Japan release of the figure. But all that really means is that depending on which region of a figure you get, there might be some differences on the box and also a difference in the color of Toei sticker. Like for example, here are some US releases of One Piece figures, and these ones have the silver Toei sticker. But when it comes to the figure itself, that's going to be exactly the same. Alright, so this one comes in 5 pieces, and the number on the bottom of the base is 2775302. And let's put this piece in now. So this goes in there really nice and snugly. It feels very sturdy. And the marking on this figure is on the back right side of Bonnie's shorts. Now let's take a look at some more of the details. So if we look at her stockings here, we can see a little bit of those lines etched into there, the same kind of detailing that they used on the Luffy. And we can also see it here in the cloud around her head and shoulders, which is kind of an off-white color. Like it looks to be slightly bluish. Then if we look at Bonnie's actual hair, that's very white. Actually, it's not completely white. It looks like it has just the slightest amount of pink to it. And I think it looks great. I love the sculpt of the hair on this figure. And then the face, just like with the Luffy, I think the face is just perfect. I think they nailed it again on this Bonnie. And I love the way the arms and hands are sculpted, kind of stretchy looking, cartoony looking with the big fist up there, and then she has these gray suspenders on. And I like how you can actually see the space, like you can see as they're going up and over her shoulders here, there's actually empty space between them, which really makes it feel like a separate piece of clothing. And they also did a great job on the tank top, like it's really tight, so you can see all those areas where it's like stretching and pulling on itself and wrinkling up a little bit. And same thing on the shorts. Those are also very tight, so they sculpted a lot of like wrinkles where it's bunching up on the sides and in the front. It's just really nicely done all around. And there's also some lines etched into the shorts, giving them even more detail, just like on the Luffy. And same thing with the sash too. That also has those lines etched into it. And while it would have been nice to have seen some shading on the sashes on both of the figures and also on Luffy's hat, I think they both look perfectly fine as they are. But yeah, let's finish looking at Bonnie. So her legs are normally shaped. You can see her knees, and then she's kind of got this little thing around her ankle, like a little ankle skirt. I'm sure there's an actual name for that, but yeah, I think it's a nice little detail. And I also like how they color the bottom of her heels gray. I feel like it complements the white and also kind of breaks it up a little bit so it's not just full white. And now let's get her onto the stand. So we can see there's a hole in her back right here, so this just sticks into there like that. And she will stand up like that. She'll be a little wobbly if you shake it, but it's possible for her to stand up without the other support. Though I'm not sure how that would end up if you did that long term, if she'd end up leaning, so I'm going to put on the other support now. So that one goes in there like that, and then her leg just rests in there. So here is Bonnie complete on the stand. And I keep forgetting to mention that when I put her two halves together, I did have trouble doing that. Like they would not go in no matter how hard I pushed. So I ended up using a hairdryer to heat up her upper half, like the hole where the bottom half hooks into. And you can see there's like these little ridges on the peg on her bottom half. So those help for it to hook in, and yeah, I had trouble getting it in even after heating it up. Like I could only get one side to stick in and the other side was kind of loose. You could see that little gap there. So I heated it up again and then I ended up getting it in, but it was off camera, so I can't show you that exact moment. But yeah, if you get one of these Bonnies, yours might go together perfectly fine. You might not even need to heat it up. And there is a seam in a pretty visible spot on this Bonnie, so depending on the lighting, that's going to be more or less noticeable. And that's about it for this one. I'm really happy with both of these figures and I would recommend both of them.